Let's say good morning to our co-host, the Admiral Bill Stubblefield, 2-star.
Good morning, Rob. Wonderful day. Great to be here.
It's fabulous to have you, Bill.
It is. Well, thank you so much. You're so kind.
Oh, I can be.
So considerate. Now, I'm going to wait and see what you say to John Gilstrap. Are you going to be equally nice and polite?
I've got some sympathy for Gilstrap because he has to be a bachelor for a little while here. He's got to eat his Spam out of a can and take that bread and swab that jelly on top of the Spam.
And while Joe is out hunting for tigers and lions,
penguins,
and elephants
too.
and penguins, yeah,
it is New York Times best-selling author John Gilstrap.
Good morning. Listen to that opening. I cannot hear the word gigawatt and not think of Marty McFly and Doc Brown.
Doc Brown, yeah.
And the I was going to say Tesla. That's not what the DeLorean.
Yeah, the DeLorean people don't talk about enough, right? John DeLorean is a guy that kind of got swallowed up in history.
It was just the one model year, right?
Yeah, it was a brief burst of fame.
But it was a lot of fame. Everybody's looking at that car as a car of the future.
Notoriety, I guess, is
would it have been famous had it not been for the movie? It would have just disappeared.
It would have been one of those things when you're remembering the decade of the 80s, that would have been something people would have brought up, but otherwise probably not.
I don't know. I think of the automobile. I do not think of the movie. In fact, I don't even know if I know the movie. But it's
Back to the Future?
Oh, but I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
With the flux capacitor?
Flux capacitor, fluxing. That's what it does. There was a guy that used to call this show a few years back, and he grew up in California and was at that mall when they were shooting that movie when he was a little kid, where they were shooting those outdoor scenes. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he told me about being out there when they were shooting those scenes. And they were shooting those scenes while Michael J. Fox was filming Family Ties. And during the filming of Family Ties, Meredith Baxter Birney, who was the mom on the show, she was pregnant, and she wasn't going to be able to be in the first because she was delivering. She couldn't be in the first few episodes of the show. And they would not give Michael J. Fox permission to do the movie. So the only way that because they didn't want him being distracted from the show because they were missing their female lead there, right? So the only way they would agree to let him do the movie is he would shoot all day for Family Ties, and then he would go and shoot for Back to the Future. So he was working nearly round the clock doing Back to the Future and shooting Family Ties. And when they shot Back to the Future, they basically shot all 3 Back to the Future movies at one time. The sequels, the 2 sequels that followed the original one.
They actually had to reshoot a lot. They cast somebody else for Marty McFly. They realized it was just flat. It wasn't working, so they actually had to reshoot a lot of his scenes.
And I used to know who that actor was because it's a well-known actor too. And for the life of me, I just can't think of who it is. Somebody in our comment section will definitely think of that in a moment and let us know. Via telephone, the mayor of the city of Martinsburg, Kevin Knowles. Knuckles, how are you, buddy?
Good morning. Good morning.
You're chuckling.
I'm doing all right. I'd like the spam in the can comment.
Are you a spam eater?
I was a spam eater. Yes, I was. I haven't had spam in quite a while.
We had a big discussion about spam yesterday because I had a roommate. who used to eat spam and drink orange pop.
Eric Stoltz.
That's
Eric Stoltz. That's who I thought it was, but I didn't have enough confidence to say it. Yeah. So anyway, Kevin, we are going through budgeting time with the city of Martinsburg, correct?
Yeah, last night we actually had 2 meetings last night. Our first meeting at 5 o'clock was to take a review of the budget, some items for the city for the next coming year, and put the budget together to balance everything out. And of course, like anything else, right now everybody's playing it a little cautious because we don't know what's going to happen from the federal side of things, and so we're taking things real slow, and we have another review on it on the 20th.
What part of your budget relies on federal money, Kevin?
Well, it's not necessarily a lot of. You know what? We don't have any monies that come from the federal government, but we do have grants and that were given to us for like our trails and stuff like that we had planned and that were in the mix. So, we didn't want to start putting any money into that to see what we have coming in from the federal government.
Have you been given any indication about that money for that trail as to whether or not ultimately you will receive it?
Well, my personal thought is I think that's just we're just going through a shock and awe type situation right now, and that things are going to start to level out, and we'll start seeing those processes, taking a closer look at that to move forward. Timeline, I don't know what that would be.
But you've not been given any information one way or the other, correct?
No, they had some meetings that were canceled at this point, but nobody said that it was done for good. So we have hopes that that's going to be picked up and move forward.
In terms of millions of dollars, what was the Martinsburg budget last year, and do you have an idea what the ballpark of it will be this year?
It was roughly around $53 million last year, and it's going to be about $54 million this year.
That's roughly equivalent to what the county's budget is, if I recall the recent numbers.
Within $1 million.
Yeah. It's pretty close. So keep in mind that the city has more responsibilities than the county does. We take care of the roads, the garbage, and all the different services that the county doesn't have.
That's right. Cities do have road duty. So what major, if any, road projects are you looking to fund for this upcoming fiscal year?
Well, those projects don't come to light until somewhere in springtime for us to take a look at, and we haven't had any identified as of yet. But typically, we do a couple miles a year. I think we have 16 miles of road within the city that we have to keep rotating to take care of the roads that we need. But right now, we're pretty good with our road system, and we don't have anything identified at this time. We did have a meeting last night about a company called Placemakers that will be coming in to evaluate our historic downtown district and take a look at the different ordinances that we have in relationship to what you can do in the historic downtown, and possibly put a arts district inside the historic district.
Oh, that's interesting. So how long of a study will that be?
I think it takes something like 12 weeks for that to happen. They come in, they talk to the different stakeholders, the of course, councilmen and the staff itself, and something that we've been long awaiting for to happen. That we've kind of revitalized that downtown area. You're seeing more restaurants there, and we have some art places in town, and we're trying to kind of enhance that a little bit, but sometimes the historic commission stands in the way a little bit, not the people themselves, but the guidelines, so that we want to make it really clear and concise that things that you can and cannot do. So hopefully down the road here in the near future, you're going to see some art popping up, maybe murals on walls and different things like that.
I thought we had already started that. I thought we interviewed some people here who were doing outdoor murals.
Well, in certain places they could, and they had to go and get permission for. It's a long process for that to happen, and if you take a look at some of the ones that have been done down in the historic district, they're not necessarily done on the brick or on the sides. They're kind of they're canvases that were put on the side of buildings.
I thought someone was actually on the brick, Kevin. Are you sure they're not on the bricks?
You know what? If you go down there by where Buzz's place is, that is not on the bricks. That one is a like a canvas type or something that was placed on it.
You mentioned roads. You did not mention sidewalks. Are you still doing a major sidewalk renovation?
Yeah, we are looking at some different parts of the city. I think the next project that we're going to see a big renovation would be on South Street between Raleigh Street and I believe Virginia to Faulkner.
I want to go back go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a problem there with the sewers and backing up and everything. So we're going to do a whole new project there, and that's on the books to do this the next coming year.
I want to go back to the business of grants. How do they work? Obviously, I always assume that there was a check that arrived and you put it in the bank and then you spend it, but obviously that's not the case.
No, myself, I'm not the grant guy. I don't. I don't know the process, but I know that we don't. The city, unlike other municipalities or the counties, we don't have many grants. I believe that there's only 2 or 3 grants that we have, and 2 of them may be for Main Street Martinsburg, where we receive the money, and then Main Street Martinsburg gives us an invoice, and they do a drawdown on a period of time. But I don't know the details on that to be able to speak about it.
Kevin, the legislators one half through the session. Is there anything they're working on or pending that will have a significant impact on the city?
Well, there are things that they're working on, whether it has an impact or not. One of them is to change the election date from running from an odd time to running within the national primary and national general election. I have not heard anything about. I hear nonpartisan races for judges and magistrates, but I haven't heard that for municipalities because, of course, our municipality is a nonpartisan race, and I haven't heard any of that. But I'll be heading down to Charleston on Sunday to be with the municipal league down there, and we'll identify some of the things that may or may not be happening down there to either help them along the way. But I have to say that our delegation has been very good at staying in touch with us. If there is anything going on, they call and ask about our thoughts and our guidelines on what we would like to see, and we don't always agree, but at least I appreciate the call and the heads up that that things like that are happening down there.
What is the latest on Woodbury Avenue, Kevin?
Well, that has been in a study process. I would think that study should be coming up. I believe it's either close to a year for us to have a good idea of what's really happening down there, and then identify what things we need to do to tweak it or to move it forward. It's
been quiet for a while. I have not even seen anybody in our comment section posting anything about Woodbury Avenue.
Well, now you will. I'll thank you for that.
Yeah. When do you?
Well, I know. I could tell you for me that one of the things that I've noticed that's very tough is making that right-hand turn onto Woodbury. It's a very hard turn, and I know that I've had some comments from our fire department, everything about the problems of making that turn. God forbid something should happen up there. So those are things we're taking a look at. Those are things that we'll take into consideration when we sit down and decide what we're going to do moving forward.
Do you have a favored plan you prefer?
I do not. Again, I wait to listen to what the experts are and kind of write it myself here and there. I don't write it as much as I used to because now I have to go down to Moeller Avenue to make the turns that I need to make.
Plus, you have a chauffeur that will pick you up and drive you there, do you not, Kevin?
But it's hard for the limo to make those turns. It's a long limo.
But he's in the back. He's in the back having his morning martini, so he doesn't even notice it.
A morning martini.
That's nice, Bill. That's nice, Bill. Thank you very much, Bill.
There's all kind of people just waiting to seize on that.
Your comment section is going to go real crazy on that one.
Kevin,
just like me to have somebody drinking in my car.
The winter started out pretty rough, and I know the city was going through salt and cinders and whatever at a pretty good pace early on. It's certainly tempered lately. How was the budget, and how was the winter on the city's budget this year?
Well, we had to get some extra salt, but it didn't put any damper on what we normally have throughout the winter. But it was mostly really cold and not too much damp stuff, not much snow. So we weren't hindered as much as some other places were in the state of West Virginia. So it
didn't stress the budget in any way?
No, not at all. Not at all. We put some contingencies in for that when we do our budget.
When does your fiscal year run?
We run from July 1st to the end of June.
Okay, so it's just like the state then.
Yeah. That's why and that's why we're doing our budget now. We have by state law, and I believe, Bill, you would know more than I would, that the county is probably under the same guidelines. They have to be in by the end of March to be able to be processed through the state.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. So you are. Kevin, going back to the next year's budget, $53 million. Is that about what you had this past year? And the subset of that question is, the county is are planning to give pay raises. Are you thinking about doing the same thing?
The answer is yes on both parts. Yes, we there is a plan for a raise for all of the employees of the city, and we've kind of kept the budget as close to where it was last year as we can. But of course, some things have cost more, and some things are needed more than they had last year. And keep in mind that people always say you have a big unencumbered balance, but when we do our budget, we plan for full staff. So a couple of years ago, we were down 15 police officers. So by the end of the year, that was that money was, we were a year without that. So that money then comes back as an unencumbered balance, and we were able to do things later on in the year. So we'll have an unencumbered balance coming in here in July. We don't have any idea what that might be at this point, but we may have a better handle on that over the next couple of weeks to be able to take a look at, to see if there are some projects that we have boxed on our books to be able to start moving forward with them, or put that money into action somewhere else.
Now that City Hall is done, you got any big capital projects coming up in the next year?
Well, yeah, we're going to start working on the original Department of Public Works building. We had just finished our new building for Department of Public Works, and the building that they've been in for years needs some TLC. So we're going to be doing and working on that. That to me, that's probably the biggest project at this point that we're looking at for this year.
And where is that?
If you were to go down, well, it's off Boston Street. Are you familiar with Boston Street?
No.
Or you go down, you could get down Ray Street and down by go straight into Lake Thomas and make a right, and it's right there.
Gotcha.
Then you stop by Maria Lawrence's house for a little snack.
Well, you could kind of yell across the pond.
Yeah,
I would say.
she doesn't mind. Hey, this is A.R. Emmert in our comments section, and I had forgotten this guy's name, actually, because this was pretty big when the study came out. He said, anybody remember the Jay Gardner study of downtown Martinsburg? He said from about 5-6 years ago. I think it was longer than that, maybe even 10 years ago. Kevin, you were a city councilman at the time. Can you look at that study in your mind, think back on that, and talk about maybe what's been implemented from that over the years? I know this is kind of catching you with short notice on this one.
Well, I mean, some of the stuff would pop out. One is, we created an economic development department. We have did some the interwoven mills. That was one of the projects, one of the brown hills that we had to take a look at, brownfields projects that we had. You took a look at the old Apple storage place up there on Queen Street on the north side of town. So yeah, all those things are part of that economic development and brownfield studies that was in that plan, and we keep. That's one of those things that we're probably going to have to go back and take a look at, because that was quite a while ago, and a lot of the things there that are in there, we've taken care of just generically, but some things that we've really worked hard to get there, such as interwoven mills and some of the other bigger projects that we've had. What
kind of completion percentage have they accomplished over at that complex now, Kevin?
Well, if you ever go by now, you can see that they're working towards the Winchester Avenue side of things. So I want to say that I know they're more than half, because they've had 200 apartments finished, completed, and filled, and there's going to be another 200, I believe, apartments. And also there's a plan to have a restaurant, like lounge type place right there on King Street. So they're probably about 3/4 of the way through it. I can't tell you exactly. I haven't been up there in the last 2 months, so they're working very hard every day. There's always activity up there.
You said completed and filled. Does that mean these apartments are occupied now?
Oh yeah, there's I believe 200 apartments that are occupied there right now.
You guys redid, was it the comprehensive plan a couple of years ago, Kevin? You rewrote some things, and I know the county's starting to tackle that themselves as well. Has that changed the game for the city of Martinsburg when you rewrote all that?
Well, I mean, if you take a look at things, this is from Kevin Knowles' perspective, that, back in 2015 and 16, we were looked at a little differently from the outside looking in, as far as with everything going on with the opioid epidemic and everything. And, we were identified from the outside as Little Baltimore. We're not identified as that anymore. We have a very vibrant downtown. We have a lot of activity going on. We have a huge event coming on this weekend. So yeah, there's things that are really happening in the city of Martinsburg. That one is part of that comprehensive plan that's been put together. Two, part of the other plan that we just spoke about, and things are moving forward.
Speaking of the big event this weekend, the St. Patrick's Day Festival, parade and such, I presume that you will be front and center for that?
Oh, geez, I will.
Wearing green, I assume?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, actually, I was supposed to go to Charleston on Saturday, and I said, I can't make it Saturday. I said, I have to be in town for the St. Patty's celebration. So I'm going to get a double dose. I'll get it here on Saturday, and then I have some good Irish friends in Charleston that are going to get together, and I don't know what they do down there, but I'm going to find out, that's for sure.
Oh, that's great, man. Any final thoughts? I got 60 seconds left, the last minute to talk about The City Is Yours.
Well, I can't talk enough about the staff at the city of Martinsburg. They work very well as a team, and they've shown this through a tough time that we've gone through with the moving of the offices and everything to put together this budget. It's not an easy task, and the people that were involved in that, just Andy Blake and his staff, just unbelievable confidence in them of what they've done to bring it to the table.
Kev, good to talk with you, man. Have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Yeah, and sorry that I couldn't be there in person, and thanks for the phone call.
You didn't have to reveal that.
Well, you woke me up. I don't normally sleep in. I don't know what happened today, but I was a dead sleep when you called me.
Get that sleep out of your eyes, man. Have a good day.
Have a good one, Sheriff.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Bye-bye.